Hi, I'm Lisa Prather, and welcome to The Voice of Health with our host, Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, where lives are changed every day through the natural approach to healthcare. Well, today we're talking about stress. Who needs it? And we realized that we're going to probably need part one and a part two.
Yes.
So today is about stress, part one. There's too much to talk about.
I got too stressed about thinking about putting it all into one radio program.
All right. Well, Dr. Prather, what is stress?
Well, stress, if you're looking at the definition of it, it's where a physiological change occurs in your body due to perceived or real threats. Would be the definition. So, there's things that actually change.
Mm-hmm. So how does stress affect your body?
Well, when we're operating in a good physiological plane, we're in what we like to call a rest and digest mode. In other words, our body's at rest, our mind activity is at a good constant pace. Most of our energy is going to working on the immune system so that we can fight off diseases. There's a nice, healthy, happy endocrine system that's operating in a very steady type of low taxing type of a means. And then we're digesting our food and getting the nutrients into our system, and everything's going along all nice and happy. When all of a sudden a tiger appears, digesting our food doesn't become a major thing that we need to be dealing with. Mm-hmm. So, what you have to do is be able to either fight the tiger or run from the tiger. So all of your body's energy switches. It shuts down the immune system. It shuts down the efforts that go into normal digestion. Everything kind of stops on that. Our blood pressure raises up because we're trying to get blood to the muscles. Our system becomes overexcited. Nervous system becomes at high alert. Our endocrine system completely changes because it's putting out different types of hormones to increase muscle strength, speed, all those types of things. And our body is in a totally different type of a mode than when you're sitting around the campfire and munching on berries.
Berries or s'mores. So you've talked about the nervous system here, the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic, which we talk a lot about. And who are those what is those tigers in our lives? Because tigers, literally aren't chasing us.
Yeah. And there are a lot of different types of tigers that can be in our lives. They can be people that we live with. They can be
our jobs,
our bosses, financial tigers. Mm-hmm. There are financial tigers in our life.
Relationships.
There's a lot of different types of tigers. Some of them real, some of them perceived. Mm-hmm. There can be imaginary tigers in our life that we've helped create. When we're talking about stressors, there's basically, we like to divide those up into about 3 different types of segments. There are routine stressors, there's sudden stressors, and then there's traumatic stressors. Mm-hmm. And those types of things that can, with a routine stressor, they're a cumulative type of thing. Oftentimes we're not really aware of it.
Give me an example, yeah.
Well, I have patients come in, and I ask them what's their stress levels, and I've had a lot of people sit there and say, "Well, I don't really have a lot of stress in my body," and then we go to check them, and it's, they're falling apart.
They don't even realize it.
They don't even realize that there's just routine stressors in their lives. And some of those are not actually even real. They're made up.
Now, to me, that routine just means Just daily life stressors.
Daily life, you're in traffic. Mm-hmm. A routine would be, I got to drive to work, and that person just cut in front of me. Oh, I hit that stoplight again. There's snide remarks, that somebody makes to you. Mm-hmm. There's children that don't necessarily behave when you tell them to. There's babies that wake up in the night.
So day to day.
Day-to-day types of stressors that we don't really even notice. Mm-hmm. And that depends a lot on how we handle them. Some things, don't bother some people, and some people, it bothers them a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's our reaction to a lot of the routine types of stressors. And our perceptions has a huge effect on our routine stressors in our life. When you're talking about a sudden type of a stressor, they do different evaluations on that, and not all of them are bad things. A death in the family would be a huge stressor. Mm-hmm. There's an awful lot. Right. But getting married. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they did a study on it, and the biggest stressor in both a husband, in a males and females is a new baby. Mm. Now, that's a very positive thing, can be. But, it's a huge stressor. There's a huge change in your life. And they actually found, as they measured that on people, that was the biggest stressor that there is.
So stress can be good, too.
The stress can be
a good thing.
Things that we're looking forward to. Mm-hmm. Things that we're excited about. But there is a change in the physiology that occurs. And then you talk about traumatic. Mm-hmm. That's where, you have some type of trauma. You get robbed. Mm-hmm. Even in in your past, sexual abuse can be a huge traumatic type of a stressor that you carry around. Post-traumatic stress syndrome is basically what you talk about on a real traumatic type of an instance where, you have a huge effect that permanently changes how your body works. Mm-hmm. So, the traumatic stresses are a big thing that a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists have to deal with because those carry with you for a long time. So the traumatic stresses are where we get much more longer-term type of permanent changes, but the routine types of stressors can build up over time, and people can have significant collapses from those.
Just the routine stresses,
right? Because the body, is geared to handle so much stress, and then once it doesn't, you're supposed to shift back.
Mm-hmm. It should be a temporary thing.
It should be a temporary thing. If you're talking about stress in someone's life, there's a normal type of a division on that. What is healthy on stress? Actually, absolutely no stress in your life is unhealthy. Mm-hmm. Your body's not made to, there's a balance in everything. And we're supposed to have an 80% of the time when we're sort of in rest and digest. And we're supposed to have about 20% of the time that we're dealing with stress. And that is a normal, healthy type of routine in people's lives.
It seems to be switched.
Well, one of the things that we find is that people get stuck. Mm. Now, where does stress become unhealthy? It's when we can no longer shift back into the rest and digest. Mm. And it's a cumulative type of thing. If you're looking at the stress syndrome is a term that's a medical term. Mm-hmm. And, so you get stressed, and then you shift back to rest and digest. And the quicker you can shift back, the healthier you are.
We're going to talk about that, right?
We are.
I'm anxious to hear about it. I'm stressed.
Are you stressed about it? Don't want to get too anxious. So, you shift back. Mm-hmm. Then it becomes harder to shift back. It lasts, you get through the stressor, and it takes me an hour to 2 hours to kind of unwind, is what we like to say. Mm-hmm. I had a stressful day. I just need to kind of unwind here a little bit, get my mind off of it, and then you can kind of feel yourself relax. Mm-hmm. Shift back to where you need to be. If all of a sudden you get to the point that you can no longer shift back and you're in that 100% of the time. Remember, we talked about that the endocrine system is completely shifted on how it's supposed to be. And the endocrine system, the hormones, can't continue that program on a continual basis. It changes, physically changes the endocrine system. You see, if they do autopsies, and they've done it on cats and different types of animals, and there's actually a shrinking of the endocrine system.
Wow.
So there's physical changes, not just even biochemical changes, which is evident, but there are actually physical changes in the endocrine glands.
Well, and you can just see it in people's demeanor and face. And
The muscles, the tension in the muscles becomes a permanent type of thing. So you kind of tense up when you are under stress, and then you're supposed to relax again. Or people don't wind up after they've been under stress for a period of time. They never relax. The muscles never go, Your digestion. You're supposed to be digesting your food, but if you're under stress on a continual basis, your digestion never kicks back in again. And so food kind of passes through you without being broken down, so you start to get nutritional deficiencies.
Yeah.
The nerves there's a certain size that the nerves should be.
Right.
If they're continually under stress, they actually shrink.
Wow.
And it's amazing all the different types of things that occur with stress.
They don't even realize. When we come back, let's talk about when is stress a serious problem. You can win a free 60-minute massage in a relaxing spa at the Prather practice. Each month we have a drawing to give away a free massage to one of our lucky Facebook and Twitter fans. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. The Voice of Health Wellness Tip with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice. Dr. Prather, you have a beautiful spa area in your office that you set aside. Beautiful 4 massage rooms.
Which you designed.
Oh, thank you.
Just to let you know, those were not.
I had some help.
Yes.
I wanted the colors in there just when people walk in, that their shoulders drop and they go right into relaxation, and that's what I hear.
And yeah, definitely. I've had many people say that.
So why did you incorporate massage into your practice?
Well, I believe that massage is an extremely important part of one's wellness, health regimen. It's something that everyone should have done at least once a month, if not more often, just to maintain a good, healthy type of a program in their system. One, as you work with the muscles and the soft tissue, you can actually create a tremendous amount of changes that occur. There are hormonal changes, there are physiological changes on balance. It's a very important part of one's health and wellness.
Yeah, it's much more than
And
just
it feels
feeling
good.
good. Well, it feels good, yeah. It's a lot more. What types of massage services do you do at your office?
Well, interestingly enough, there are a lot of different ways that massage actually can be involved in someone's health, and there are actually people don't realize how many types of massage there actually are. There's lymphatic, there's muscle, there's deep muscle, there's reflexology, there's electromagnetic, there's neurological. There's ones that can actually wake you up, some that can relax you. Some that can balance out your emotional states. So there's a tremendous amount of different types of massage that can be affected on your system.
And who would benefit from massage?
Everyone. But if you have tight muscles, and I'm sure most people out there don't, a higher than average stress level, then massage can really prolong your life, reduce your blood pressure, increase your chances of preventing cardiovascular and cancer. So any type of a situation, especially if you're in a high-stress position, definitely take the time out for massage.
And the pricing is great at our office. For a 60-minute massage, it's $59. And it can go down to $49 an hour. And this is a full 60-minute massage if you buy a package of 6 or more. And then our lymphatic massage is $79. And we also do hot stone massage for $99. Well, escape the stress of life with a relaxing massage at our spa. Schedule your appointment at the Prather Practice, 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. The Prather Practice, restoring hope.
And I'm feeling good.
You're listening to The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, the most comprehensive wellness center in the Midwest. We're talking today about stress. Who needs it? And Dr. Prather, you're talking about how stress affects your overall health, and very interesting about the endocrine system and the nervous system. Even the nerves can shrink. I know sometimes when I'm stressed, I get this overall, I feel like a furnace heating up. You know, it's just like a rush of, and is that part of the endocrine system or the my cortisol levels?
Cortisol level goes through all the body, and you actually do heat up. Your blood pressure goes up. You know, the temperature of the body goes mainly towards the skin. Because there's a whole shift in your physiology. So that's actually true.
So how does stress affect our overall health?
If stress is a continuous type of thing, it will age us. It will cause all sorts of different types of diseases. You know, stress has been linked to cancer. It's been linked to cardiovascular disease. It's involved with a lot of autoimmune types of situations, digestive issues, nutritional deficiencies. Even if you're taking in the proper nutrition, if you're stressed, your body's not going to get that. So, you know, it's a situation where it's a no-go. You know, and animals don't do well under stress either. Yeah, all creatures should live to be 10 times their age of puberty. So, you know, human beings should be living to 120, 130, 140 years old on average. And most creatures do. You know, our dogs do, our cats do. But if you've ever noticed your dog doesn't get as stressed as you do. You know, they get stressed a little bit, they go barking, and then they go and, okay, it's past, we're done.
Can we bark? Sometimes I do.
We don't let it go. You know,
we don't let it go.
We really don't let things go.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, letting things roll off.
Right, and we worry about. I mean, there are times to deal with things, and stress can interfere with our ability to make things happen. So, the stress can actually be the problem. And many things that we stress over, you know, is not, you know, the only thing a dog's going to get stressed about is if there's something immediately that needs to be taken care of. But once it's taken care of, they're done. You know, they kind of forget about everything. And, you know, they live out their full life. And the biggest reason that human beings die younger than they should is stress.
You said they let it go.
They let it go.
So,
yeah, they don't think about it.
We're not letting it go?
Yes. You know, there are, you know, what are the things that really we have to worry about? You know, there aren't a whole lot of immediate types of things that are going to kill us. That's really reduced quite a bit than what it used to be. But we're more stressed. You know, that doesn't really make sense. We stress more about things, and things aren't quite as important.
Is that where that saying, choose your battles, you know, instead of everything being a battle?
Everything being a battle. The more battles you're in, the more stressed you are.
So when is stress a serious problem?
Well, there comes a point where there's when stress overwhelms, then we go backwards in our responses back to a reptilian response. Mm-hmm. Our nervous system drops. You have the first system, which is human, where we can deal with social. There's the mammalian brain, where there are different ways of responding, more in the fight-flight type of thing. And then there's actually the reptilian brain. And I don't want to, I can get a little technical here, and I'll try not to. But basically, there's the point where we just shut down. A snake, if it's actually grasped and held down, then there's a response where we shut off. And that's where people, in a traumatic event, faint. Mm-hmm. They were interviewing different types of people, when, there was almost like a plane crash that was occurring. Mm-hmm. And everybody thought the plane was going to crash. And they went in and asked people, well, how did they respond? Yeah. And one of the common things was, well, I don't really remember. I passed out.
Mm. That can be a good thing. If your plane's going down.
And if you are in a situation where you're kind of held down, mm-hmm. and it's a traumatic event, and there feels like there's a powerlessness, mm-hmm. and that can even be an emotional holding down and a feeling of powerlessness.
Yeah, without a physical.
Even without physical. Uh-huh. Then there's a situation where, it's like, I check out. Mm-hmm. And I've had, people who came in who've gone into that. Mm-hmm. They've gone into that mode where they basically have checked out, and they can't. A thing that I had was a very, very type A type of individual male, public speaker, had really reached a stress point in his life and kept on pushing. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm a type. I can do this
instead of maybe
taking a vacation
or taking a vacation.
Saying, hey, I'm kind of wiped out here. Mm-hmm. I need to take a break. I mean, even Jesus took breaks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There were times where, okay, I've had it. I'm going to row off, and I'm even going to leave my disciples behind because I've had it with them
Went
too.
to the mountains.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, he said no, mm-hmm. and he just kept on going, and then he couldn't do anything. He was emotionally and physically into a state that there was just nothing there. Mm-hmm. And that can happen. I've seen that happen to men. I've seen that happen to women. I've seen that happen to teenagers, mm-hmm. where they are no longer functioning, and the endocrine system is collapsing, the digestive system is collapsing, the nervous system is collapsing, and the muscular system is collapsing. Mm. And that becomes a situation where it's life-threatening.
Now, do men and women, since you brought up men and women, handle stress differently?
Yes. There is a very definite difference between our coping mechanisms. Men try to control their environment to make things work, and women try to control people.
The relationships.
Mm-hmm. So there's a relationship type of a situation, and then there's an environmental types of situation. So men and women will actually approach things in a different type of way.
What do you mean by environment?
Well, their job. Mm-hmm. They will try to get, instead of mainly relationship types of things, mm-hmm. more of a physical type of an area. They'll go out and putter on something or find escape through...
Go out in the garage.
Go out mm-hmm. in the garage. The man cave type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to retreat to my man cave and please don't come in. Mm-hmm. And then the woman stands at the entrance and starts throwing rocks at him to try to get him to notice because she's relationship-oriented. Mm-hmm. So there can be a conflict in a marriage when both parties become stressed. She will want to more be involved in controlling him, mm-hmm. whereas the man's going to be trying to retreat and get into a safe place.
You kind of like said that sheepishly.
Well, I'm talking to my wife here. Which can cause a lot of stress and conflict.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. When we get stressed, we don't usually get stressed at the same time. We take turns.
Oh, thank God. Because how we handle it and how, I want to go off and watch, martial arts movies.
You admitted it.
And you like to talk. And when I get stressed, I don't like to talk. But that's what you need.
Right.
So it's really good that God has it planned out that we get stressed at different times.
Yeah, now I just tell you I'm stressed, and I'm stressed about two things, and we talk about it, and yeah, it helps.
It really helps.
Because I don't want to feel alone in it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people feel alone in their stress. Or they're I'm very independent kind of woman. I'm going to
fix things.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a little like a man in that case.
But you approach it differently.
Yeah. So can stress be treated? Or how is it treated?
Yes. Stress has to be treated. If you don't treat it, you don't get it fixed, it will definitely shorten your life, if not kill you. So very definitely needs to be treated.
Okay, when we come back, let's talk about how the Prather practice treats stress. Listen to the Voice of Health radio on your smartphone or tablet on all of the top radio apps available. TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. You can find these apps and more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. Laughter is the best medicine.
I'm wearing new contacts. I just had my prescription changed after 6 years. You ever wait that long? Then you get new lenses. You're like, man, I could have been seeing things. How can instantly improved vision not be at the top of your to-do list? I'll see tomorrow. I don't have time. I don't have time to see clearly. No, I don't. No, I can't do that. You see what's on my desk?
Are you frustrated by not getting to the root cause of your health issue? Are you tired of not knowing why you're always fatigued? Are you wanting to say no to toxic drugs? Have you lost hope? Are you just tired of being sick and tired? At the Prather Practice, we want you to know that we have the answers for you. We offer the alternative to the disease care model. We are the drug-free model to health and wellness. At the Prather Practice, we look for the underlying cause of your health problem and not just the symptomatology. Through thorough diagnostics, we find your individual health blueprint for your treatment. Where the disease care model is symptom-based, the structure-function model we practice gets to the root of your health issue. The Prather Practice is the most comprehensive wellness center in the Midwest. Our integrated practice offers you the most treatment options to restore your health and your hope. Learn more about the Prather Practice by calling 317-848-8048 or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. Root cause of your health issue. We're talking today about stress and who needs it. And Dr. Prather, we're talking now about the treatment. So how does the Prather practice treat stress?
There are a lot of different types of ways that we treat stress, and most of our patients, once they've been here for a little while, know that this is the place to come for stress release. Okay. I have a patient who just came in yesterday because they were going through a very stressful time, and they said, my body needs some help. So, looking at that, first off, chiropractic is absolutely amazing for stress.
Can I ask something, though? How many people coming in to your office would you say are stressed?
100%.
100%.
And there isn't anyone out there in the entire world that doesn't need to be treated for stress, because stress is a very big factor in our lives, and really, and there's a lot of stressors. Even viruses and bacteria.
Well, technology stresses me out. Yeah.
So the
What? I was so strong about that. Well, I was just thinking, you got 100% people walking in the door, that are stressed, and what's changed,
Well, it's a situation where I know people who go to other countries and they come back here, and I said, well, how much of a culture shock is it being overseas? And they usually say, well, it's not really a culture shock being overseas. It's coming back to the United States.
When they've been there a long time.
When they've been there enough time, they said, everybody's so stressed over here. And
or they're not kind. I heard that from someone that had been in China for 10 years. And they said every time they would come back for a little bit, now they're here permanently, people aren't as kind.
We are just a go-go type of nation where we, don't relax, don't sit there and take the time off that we really need to. If you've been looking at the workload that Americans have had, the amount of productivity that the average American has been able to produce over the last 10 years has actually increased by almost 50%. The amount of hours that we're working has gone up about 10 hours a week. The interesting part is that Americans have only had a very slight increase in their pay. So, you've got a situation in here where Americans are producing more, we're working harder, and we're actually getting less reward for that. So there's a certain portion of margin. That's one thing that you and I talk about, where's our margin in our life? And when you've actually had lots and lots of stress in your life, it doesn't take a whole lot just to kick you off.
Right.
If you've been stressed on a continual basis and somebody cuts you off on the road, you go into road rage. If you've had a pretty nice, quiet type of thing.
Are you talking about me?
No. then you just kind of like, oh, silly person, they shouldn't have done that. So if you don't have a whole lot of margin in your life where you've been stressed on a continual basis, for a period of time, when something small just happens, that whole response becomes super sharp.
Well, it's interesting because I've gotten better. If I feel like a car is on my tail, I used to brake.
Yeah, I know. Hard.
And go into that fight or flight.
Right.
Now I just get over and let them pass me and wave and smile.
Yeah. and that's better for you.
It is. It's better.
Yeah, you don't want to keep on going into that fight-flight mechanism because it wears out your system and you're not as able to handle stress.
Right.
If you're constantly in that fight-flight. So perception actually makes a big difference. If you think that there's a bear in the room and it's running around and you really think that's a bear that's going to eat you, then that creates a whole big response in your system.
Yeah.
But then if you find out that it's just me in a bear suit, you whack me. So it's our perception oftentimes that's the big problem.
Well, and you'll say to me, what's the worst thing that can happen? And when you think that through, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Right.
It puts it in perspective.
Right, and that's an important thing to deal with. I have patients who really don't have a whole lot of stress in their life, but they're stressed. It's all their perception. They worry about the stupidest things. And then they worry about their worry and they worry about their health.
And worrying isn't attractive at all.
No.
People that worry aren't, it's not people that we tend to want to be with.
Right. That repels people, which also cuts down on your social interaction. Yeah. Your social interaction has a huge effect on your ability to handle stress.
Well, let's make sure we have time. Let's talk about treatment at the Prather practice, which we were doing, and I interrupted. Sorry about that. But what is
I got stressed over it, just to let you know.
I kind of want to talk about acupuncture because that really seems to really, you'll have someone come in. You can even see their demeanor. They're in that fight flight. And after acupuncture, they're just so relaxed.
An example of that is I've had accounting students and law students who came in for acupuncture, and I had some law student come in, and he said, "Well, I read in line that they were ready to take their big test along those lines that determines their whole life, which isn't stressful at all." And they said, "Well, I read that online that acupuncture was really helpful." They had actually been taking, different types of drugs, actually legal drugs, but still drugs, that they were all passing around to help them to concentrate and study and also relax. And we do seem to be quite a drug nation, that we look towards that. And they said, "Well, that I'd read that acupuncture was actually much, much better, better response." And I said, "Well, that's actually true." So we did a session on acupuncture, and it was just no time. I had 5 law students coming in because he had spread the word.
Can I have what she had?
Yeah. Because there's a huge, you make all it stimulates the body's production of all those very nice natural chemicals that relax the body. And you can feel that. And I have so many patients say, "Wow, that was better than even the massage on getting me relaxed." We have a high-level executive who comes in here on a regular basis just because, it's either this or I have to take anti-anxiety, medicine. And this does work better, and I feel better.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about chiropractic. How can that help stress?
Well, when you get stressed, the muscles go into spasm, tightness, and it does, there's different biomechanics that occur, and then the skeletal structure does move in abnormal type of manners. So getting that, it's like, I can't get myself to relax. The massage isn't working anymore. I think I need an adjustment. We check them, yes. Because stress throws out the spinal alignment. A very common type of thing that occurs. As a matter of fact, long-term type of stress will even start to cause arthritis because there's a non-movement in the joints. The synovial fluid, which actually adds to the nutrients, so you start to get a degeneration in the discs and in the bones because of stress. So, they never had a car accident or, some type of trauma.
Right, but stress can...
But a routine types of stress over a period of time will cause degeneration in through the spine. The most common, they did studies on what causes low back pain and headaches, and the most common reason was a job that people didn't like doing. So, you talk about back-breaking labor. If you don't like your job, then that's probably going to be one of the biggest cause of back problems because you're constantly stressed, and that's going to cause misalignments. So getting that back into line with the chiropractic is an important aspect of stress management.
How about massage?
Oh, who doesn't like massage?
Yep, I get 2 a month. Keeps me going.
Yep. And, that touch.
It's not a luxury. It's more, therapeutic. And I think people need to realize that.
And one of the things that we tell people is that's really an important maintenance type of thing in their lives. And, yes, people do need touch. And there's you have different needs in your body. You have nutritional needs. You have, exercise needs. You have all those different types of needs. You have a certain amount of touch that needs to be done. So not only is it relaxing where you're working the muscles and getting them, into a more relaxed state, there's a release of all sorts of different chemicals, but the very touch, and the only way you can get that is through touch.
And supplementation, how does that help stress?
Well, supplementation, when you get under stress, there are endocrine needs, so we can give different types of glandulars that can help to rebuild those deficiencies. When your nerves are under stress, you burn up certain B vitamins and minerals, so you need to put those in. If you are under stress, you have an abnormal requirement of certain nutrients, and if you don't get those nutrients replenished, then the body stays in that stress mode.
Interesting. Well, coming up next, our Restoring Hope segment featuring a Prather Practice patient's success story. Never miss an episode of The Voice of Health so that you can stay informed and empowered about your health. Get a podcast of our show automatically delivered to you every week by signing up for our show on iTunes. You can find that link on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. And don't forget, thevoiceofhealthradio.com has complete archives of all of our past episodes with an audio library of information to help you add more life to your years and more years to your life. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. The Voice of Health Wellness Tip with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice. Dr. Prather, there is a device you use at your office called the electrodermal screening, or EDS. Tell us a little bit about it and why you call it the lie detector for the body.
Well, the electrodermal screening unit is a galvanic skin response unit, and it actually falls under the same category as a lie detector test or biofeedback. So it is actually, we can actually rig our electrodermal screening to actually do lie detector. But it is also a good term on that is a lie detector for the body. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're actually, you know a whole list of different types of products that could possibly work in each type of situation, but everybody knows that not everybody responds well to penicillin. Mm-hmm. You know, some people actually have some very negative reactions to it, matter even to death. Some people, it's a lifesaver. Well, that's true of everything. And what the electrodermal screening does is it actually gives you a predetermination on how you're actually going to respond to any type of thing that we might prescribe to you before you actually take it, which is extremely helpful. Now, it's not a diagnostic tool. You know, it is not classified as a diagnostic tool. But as we've gotten the approval from the federal government on the use of it, we use it purely as a means of checking to see the body's response before you would actually take something. Okay. So it's a response machine. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to have knowledge beforehand on what products will actually work with each type of condition. Right. So we're very dependent upon our lab tests and the gold standard types of diagnostic tests. But then once you've determined that, what do you do with that? Because in our instrument, we have actually 80,000 different products that we can check on. Wow. So with that, we can actually find out what's going to work the best for you and how you're going to respond on things before you actually take them.
And what about its effectiveness?
Through clinical studies, they have found that it's 80% accurate, over 80% accurate, which, you know, was what actually attracted me to it, because there's not too many things that you can actually have that kind of results with. Right, right. And this electrodermal screening eliminates some of the guessing. The guesswork is the biggest thing that we're trying to get rid of.
Schedule your appointment at the Prather Practice, 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. The Prather Practice, Restoring Hope. You're listening to The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, where our mission is restoring hope to our patients. Well, we have Amy here, who has done our weight loss program here at the Prather Wellness Center and just finishing the weight loss program up. And Amy, let's start with, how did you hear about the weight loss program?
Well, I was praying for a solution to my weight problem, and I had been really asking a lot of people what they were doing if they lost weight, and I just love talking about weight loss and success stories. So I was visiting my physician that's also in this building, and when I walked past the Prather Wellness, I saw a cardboard cutout that said lose 1 to 3 pounds a week, and I thought, well, what is this about? And I came inside and I asked the receptionist, and she started telling me about the program and told me there was a free consultation. So I said, sign me up. And I came in and met with you and with Dr. Prather and was very impressed with the program. And come to find out, it was the same program that my mother had done back in the early 80s. And my mother struggled with her weight because she had 9 children. And
That'll do it.
It really will. And when she was about my age, she did the program and she lost so much weight and she looked so absolutely amazing. And we were all so proud of her. And when I realized it was the same program my mother did, I thought, well, if it worked for her, it will work for me.
And didn't you say at that time she had to drive up to Chicago?
Yes, we lived near Champaign, Illinois, and she had to drive to Chicago to get the shots. I remember we went on vacation to Gatlinburg, and she had her shots on ice, and we had to be very selective in where we ate so that she could eat very healthy.
That?
I remember it vividly. Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about how much weight you wanted to lose and what your goals were.
Okay. Well, I am 5'10", and I had gotten past that 180 mark, and I wasn't very happy about that. And I thought, well, I would really like to be smaller. I was a size 14, but honestly, the 14s were very tight, and I wanted to be a size 10. And after about 4 weeks on the program, I fit into size 10 jeans.
Yeah, I remember that day. You came in those jeans.
Oh, so excited. So excited. And shirt-wise, I was wearing an extra large, and it was tight. And now I can wear a large, and it's very comfortable. So I'm really, really thrilled with the progress. I'm especially thrilled that it targeted my midsection. Because
that belly fat.
Yes, that's where I was the heaviest. And I have lost weight and gained weight and lost weight and gained weight for about 3 or 4 years. And I have weighed approximately what I weigh now, but I wasn't this size. I was larger. And so I know that the HGC targets the abdomen, and definitely that's where I lost it from.
Yeah, it really focuses on that belly fat. That's what people say.
Yes, I was so excited. People people that would ask me what I was doing, I would explain to them I was doing a 500-calorie diet, and it was medically supervised. And as soon as you say 500-calorie diet, people are like, well, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And I never dreamt that I could accomplish that, because that is just a huge commitment. But with the products, the supplements that you all had taken into strong consideration what was best for me and my body, I feel that my appetite was controlled. I chewed a lot of gum if I was having cravings. I drank more water. I did things that were healthy for me.
Yeah.
And every day was exciting because I would wake up and I would weigh myself, and I would typically be about a half a pound less each morning. So I just felt I would just spring out of bed and weigh myself and just, feel proud each day. So really, I did not feel that the 500 calories was that much of an issue. I felt like everything that I was putting into my body was fresh and was healthy. I did not have chemicals and preservatives and, fat and cholesterol and all of that. So my husband has been telling me for years to eat straight fruits, straight vegetables, and I didn't want to listen because he's skinny and I just don't want to listen to him. But I knew that he was right, and when I started eating this way, he was very encouraging because that's how he wanted me to eat anyway, and that's how he wanted me to model to my children that we're supposed to eat, the foods that God had made and put on this earth for us to consume.
Yeah, and our kids are watching.
They certainly are, just like I watched my mother when I was young and saw her lose the weight. My kids are watching me lose the weight.
Yeah, and what's nice, you talk about the 500 calories, but the HCG accesses 3,500 calories.
Yes.
So people, are not starving or feeling hungry, and it focuses on the fat, so you're not losing muscle mass.
Right.
So the results. Now, how much weight have you lost?
I've lost 21 pounds in approximately 5 weeks.
That's wonderful.
Oh, it was a real blessing and a real joy. And I can say that everyone that works here at Prather Wellness is very kind and courteous and just has been a great support.
Oh,
to
thank
me.
you.
Yeah.
Well, you're wonderful. I remember when we were talking about the program, and you have this beautiful face, and we were talking about, because you can't use oils
Right.
during the HCG phase, and what were you going to put on your skin, and you figured that out, right? You
I
found
certainly
something.
did. And I am one of those people. I don't leave home without makeup, and I never went without my makeup. I discovered that the makeup I was wearing was oil free, which wasn't the reason that I bought it, but it was certainly a good. It was really a bonus that I didn't have to go out and purchase more makeup. I did, however, need to find some moisturizer that didn't have oil in it, and that wasn't as challenging as I feared.
Did you find something at Target?
I did. It was a Target brand of Neutrogena oil-free lotion. Yeah. And I just, even though it was facial lotion, I used it wherever I felt dry.
Yeah. So now you're in phase 3. You're almost at the end of phase 3. And what week did we say did we figure out?
I'm
what
at
week?
9 weeks.
9 weeks. Okay. And you have been maintaining in phase 3, which is the goal. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, the neat thing about maintenance is you're gradually adding more things into your diet. And I have never deprived myself in my life. I have eaten every food group. I've eaten every type of food. So being without grains and without dairy was very different for me. And I found that as soon as I added the grains back, that I kind of gained a little bit. And I also realized, and this I'm sure is not true for everyone, but it was true for me, that I kind of have that hypoglycemic feeling after I eat breakfast cereal. About 2 hours later, I'm ravenous and I need a snack. Well, during the HGC injections, I never once had that hypoglycemic feeling. I always felt fine.
Yeah.
And so I realized that grains might not be that great for me, or dairy.
And we don't, in phase 3, we wait till the last 3 weeks to add those, or the last that we add, and that's where you're at right now.
Yes, and I was so excited to add that back, only to find that my body wasn't as happy about it as I was.
Well, if there's someone out there listening, that would like to lose weight, what would you say to them to encourage them?
I have encouraged quite a few people to do this program. I felt that it was worth its value for certain. I've always been leery of rapid weight loss, but I felt that I was closely watched medically. And I always had you to text if I had any questions.
Right.
So I felt very safe and comfortable with what I was doing. And I think that this would be a great program for people that are truly dedicated, because this is not the kind of program that you only do halfway.
Right.
It's all or nothing. And truthfully, I had full support from my husband and my 2 daughters. They encouraged me every day. They were polite about, sugary foods, because sugar is my weakness. And they
lock it up.
Yes. But they would look at what I would prepare for my plate, and they would say, "Wow, Mom, that looks really good. Can I have some of that?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I cut up more fruit. It's in the refrigerator. You can have it too." And so they actually, thought that what I was eating looked pretty good.
And I've met your daughters, and they are so proud of you.
They are.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful, because my husband and my daughters never once told me that I needed to lose weight. They loved me the way that I was, and when I told them I wanted to do this program, my daughters were kind of like, "Well, why do you want to do that? You're fine, all moms have a little, a little cushion, a little extra to hug." Yeah. And I'm like, "But you didn't know me before I had you, because I was 5'10" and weighed, 140, 150 pounds, which was great."
Yeah.
They've only known Mom that fluctuates between 170 and 187.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud to have shown them that, weight is something that we can control if we eat healthy. So I would definitely encourage people to do this program if they have it in them to be that committed. And if you have the support system around you where people aren't going to try to sabotage what you're doing.
Right.
So
And that's very important.
yeah.
Yeah, and you've had great support. Well, thank you, Amy, for sharing today, and I know that your story will encourage someone. And
I certainly hope so.
A wonderful bright light here.
Thank you.
To the office. The Prather practice is located at 8902 North Meridian Street on the north side of Indianapolis, just south of the I-465 loop. If we can help you to achieve better health, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with our office at 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Join us again here next week or anytime on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com for The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. Healthy Habits from the Prather Practice is a natural weight loss program with a proven success rate. Healthy Habits is an individualized program that is tailored to each patient's needs. Healthy Habits is not a trendy diet. The program actually resets your body's metabolism for optimal fat burning. The Healthy Habits program includes concentrated vitamins and minerals that help you to burn fat and feel more energetic. Healthy Habits provides support from a counselor and exercise physiologist in order to maximize your results and help you create new healthy habits in your life. This program even helped our own Dr. Prather to lose 24 pounds and shed 4 inches from his waist in just 12 days. Schedule your consultation with a Healthy Habits counselor at the Prather Practice at 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048 or on the web at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. The Prather Practice, restoring hope.